Okay, so thank you for that. Can everyone hear me? Yeah. Okay, your slides are amazing, by the way. Who designed them? They look so cool.
Canva.
They look brilliant. Really, really good. Okay, so right, a few questions for you now, and then we'll be finishing the day, and we can sort of have a little bit of a Q&A to any of the speakers that are still in the room. So you've got all these amazing businesses, you've been doing all this additional learning. What has been the biggest challenges you face when starting new businesses, and how have you addressed them?
I think first and foremost, it would be the limited financial resources, because obviously, like you were saying, you need to be able to pay yourself, and, it doesn't necessarily have to be like making millions, but you do need to be able to cover all of those things. And I think being the first out of my friends, out of a lot of family members, a lot of people that I know in my circle, I think my story is a little bit different, where I was working corporate for so long, and then I had to quit my job. So at the time, there was no one really around me that was running a business. I wasn't in that like freelance world. So I just didn't have much of a network. I didn't really know how to raise money. So I had this really burning sort of desire to run this business, but I didn't really know how to get it off the ground without burning through like a big cash hole in my own pocket and my friends and family, which they're really, I think I'm really grateful for, because they did believe in the idea. But just that kind of lack of financial resources in the beginning, it's really hard to get off the ground.
And has that been for all the businesses, or one particular one?
I think it was more so for learning with Airs. So with the social platform that I run called Mums and Tea, that kind of runs itself. So it's just a bunch of mums. We get together, we have events once in a while, and I think it's just great to get out of the house and make mummy friends. And 5 times more, that's more of a campaign. And I'd say, our structure is that we rely quite heavily on like public donations and that kind of thing. So that kind of works, and I'm able to pay myself a little bit. But yeah, the business that could really make me the money is the one that I've kind of struggled to get the money for in the first place. So it's been hard.
Yeah, because I guess when it's a product, you've got that upfront investment, haven't you, in actually developing the product, testing it.
Yeah.
So how old is that business now?
It's just coming up to 2 years.
And did you have a kind of projection for when you'd break even or start to make a profit?
No, I didn't. I'll be completely honest. Yeah. I didn't. I really had, like I said, this burning desire to want to really make a difference. So a bit of background, my learning with Airs, we do flashcards. And I started that because I couldn't find loads of resources that actually reflected my son and what he looks like. There were loads of books, but there weren't any supporting educational materials. And I was like, well, this isn't good enough. I feel like not just my son, but everybody deserves to see what the world looks like around them. But unfortunately, going to the shops, I remember going to the pound shop and trying to find just a simple poster on like body parts. And, well, not unfortunately, but all of the characters were white. And my son's autistic, so he's very visual in his nature. So not being able to find products that looked like him was super, super sad for me. So I just really knew that, well, if I'm going through this, so many other people are going through this. So I was like, this is a real problem that needs to be solved. So I knew that it was a good idea, but kind of getting it off the ground was,
So it's a real passion project from the heart. And was it kind of, you were just going to go for it at all costs and then see where it landed you?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm really grateful for the experience I've had so far. And I've done my own DIY PR, and I've been in like baby magazine, and I've done being a solo founder is the ghetto. I'll tell you that for free, because you have to do your marketing, and you have to do all the PR, and you have to be the face, and you have to do all the social media, and you have to do the finances and the 5-year plan and the projection and stuff. And I didn't know all of that before. I just thought, well, set up an Instagram page and sell. How hard can it be? So yeah, that was a steep learning curve. We were talking about that this morning, weren't we? Yeah.
And where do you sell the products from? Is it purely an Instagram shop, or are you on with other retailers now?
Not with other retailers. It's mainly through Instagram shop. I'm on TikTok shop now. Everyone's on TikTok now. It's on my own website as well. But I do a lot of face-to-face, like trade shows. Like the baby show was amazing, actually, for proof of concept, because really and truly, I've got quite a niche kind of product. Obviously, my characters are based off of my son and his friends, so they're all black characters. And I thought, is this going to stand the test of being in front of a white audience? I'll be honest. I think this is something that came through my head as a black founder with a predominantly black product. And actually, I found a lot of people were like, I sold out like on day one, which was amazing. Thank you. But yes, people want to be allies. People also share the vision of, yeah, you know what? People do need to see what the world looks like. And my child just can't be seeing people that look like them in their educational resources. This is a brilliant idea. But also loads of educators really saw the importance of the product. And so that was really amazing. So being face-to-face and getting that, you know, that feedback and doing that research has been super, super important. And now we're just in the building and growing phase.
So what's the dream then, to sell globally, would you say?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We've got to tackle England first.
And what would be your dream retailer to land with?
We were talking about this, weren't we? And I think I'll be honest, I'm all here for the honesty. I think everyone always like thinks, yeah, I've got to get into retail and whatever. But I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, I want to make as much money as possible so I can continue to make as much impact and pay that rent. But I don't think retail is necessarily for me, because they expect you to, number one, it's huge, like product you've got to put up front, and they're trying to get it for as cheap as possible. Whereas if I stay on e-commerce platforms, I can have a bit more control over that, and I'm making the most money as possible. I think it's great for like brand recognition and that kind of thing, but you can build literally multi-million businesses just being online. And I think I probably want to stick to that.
Yeah. Amazing. Okay, so how do you proactively identify opportunities that help you develop your business and also your professional skills too? So you talked about the incubator scheme that you've done and the accelerator scheme you're about to go on to, which I actually didn't know anything about that. So how did you find that? And how did you make a decision that that's worth an investment in my time to do that?
Yeah, it's a huge investment in time. I'll be completely honest. Like you have at least 2 to 3 hours a week where you have to solely work on, you know, the homework and things that they give you. So it's definitely a huge time commitment. But like I said, it was so important to fill that information gap, because I'd only worked in HR before. I'd never run a business. And so I just thought, yeah, go on Instagram. I've got followers. It'd be fine. I've got an email list. They'll all buy. But it's a lot more than that. So I think being able to network, to even find out that these things existed, you know, coming to things like this and making sure I'm making use of my LinkedIn and that kind of thing, I think that's been really important in trying to be proactive and search out those opportunities. So I think, yeah, being on those two schemes has really helped me to grow, because I think without that, I wouldn't know about revenue participation agreements and the fact that I don't have to give away my equity, you know, to make money. So yeah, it's been good.
So you need a lot of skills as a multi-business owner and as a mum. What would you say are your kind of 3 top skills, and then what are the things you want to improve?
Being adaptable and flexible is super important, because it doesn't always all go your way. It really doesn't. I got my son's diagnosis just a couple of months after launching the business, and first of all, I quit my job and I fell into a deep depression. And who mentioned it? In your video, you said about grief, didn't you?
Yeah.
And that can happen in all different forms. And be honest, I was grieving for the son that I imagined in my mind, but not to say that he's not brilliant, but that really that knocked me, you know, and everything I had hoped and dreamed for him, I guess it was almost snatched away from me. And it was just very hard for me to adapt. And falling into that deep depression meant that I couldn't do much. Yeah. And I had to, you know, somehow bring myself out of that, be adaptable and become flexible for him, for my family. And I think being in business rather than working has really helped me to be able to do that. But you really have to, know, right, this is what the market's saying at the moment. This is how the temperature in my home is. This is how I'm feeling, and knowing how to maximize that and still sort of be relevant. That's been a really huge skill I've had to learn. I would say financial management. I'm not a numbers gal at all. I'm more of the talker, as you can see. So yeah, I think financial management has been a huge skill that I've had to learn, and the 1 year projection, the 18 months of the 3 year, 5 year thing I've been able to do with the accelerator program. I didn't have a clue before, but you obviously need to know your numbers and have that forecast like you were saying. So yeah, that's really important as well. And just being able to connect and network. There's been so many opportunities that have literally landed in my lap just because I've been speaking to people, I've been pestering people in emails. That's literally why I'm here today. I've been on it and networking and making sure that I was positioned strategically. But yeah, you've got to be able to come out of your comfort zone and talk and network and put yourself out there. That's been really hard skill to master, because as much as that I believe I'm really confident, it's really saying, hey, I've got this amazing business you should know about, and this is why it's important for you. I've struggled with a little bit, but I've been able to build over the years.
Well, we've talked a lot today about founders' stories, and I think we connected this morning because you were telling me about the cards and I didn't know your son's story. And I mentioned a gentleman that's worked for us for 11 years and his little boy's got autism and is nonverbal, which same as you. So immediately I was like, oh, those cards. Mm-hmm. And then obviously found out your story. And I think I'm so glad that you connected with the story around grief, because it is that, and I know you're not saying it in a negative way whatsoever, but it is that you're grieving for what that it isn't. But then at some point you've pulled yourself up and gone, right, okay, he needs this, I'm going to create this, which makes your story really strong, I think. Yeah. For anybody else that has a situation that throws them off completely, that is out of their control, what can you draw from your experience to inspire them that you can go for plan B, or it's the sliding doors, you're going the other way?
Absolutely. I think just learning to not be complacent. I think always having that in the back of your mind, this is my situation right now, but this is just a phase. This is not my forever. Knowing that even in that grief, even in that time, things will change if you will it and you want it to. I always had that in the back of my mind. I knew, going through that whole diagnosis period and going through the system and just that whole world was just, it was so much. It was really, really overwhelming. And yes, I did have to quit my job, which was not easy. Obviously, finances, I had another little one. But knowing that actually, right now I'm not okay, but I will be. I know deep down inside, I've got amazing skills, I've got an amazing network. Feeling all those feelings, but knowing that this is not my forever, I think that's what founders can do. Yeah. Being honest and really honest with your feelings, and not just, tossing them to the side and acting as if everything's okay, because it'll all come out, and that can lead to burnout, and it can eventually be worse off.
And how do you manage, so your week? I'm always super interested in how people manage their time. Yeah. What is a typical week for you? Are there any non-negotiables, any routine? But, I know that you need to have routine with your son.
Yeah, no, I absolutely have to have a routine. So on different days, I know what I'm working with, what business I'm working on as well. So Mondays and Thursdays, that's 5 times more days. Tuesdays and Wednesdays and Fridays, I'll work on learning with theirs, and I'll work on different things. So within the accelerator program, saying this today, I was like, look, I'm a mum. I'm really busy. If I only have 2 to 3 hours a day, what should I be doing, and how can I really still push my business forward? And actually knowing what I'm doing on certain days. Obviously, yes, things sometimes merge into one another. But if I know exactly what I'm doing and I have that routine, then it makes it easier to know that, okay, well, at least by 3 o'clock, tools down, go and pick up my kids, and then I try not to subscribe to the whole, work until, the wheels fall off. But sometimes I'll have to pick up an hour or two when the kids have gone to bed because you don't quite have that enough time in the day. Yeah. But I'm a mum. I'm a mum of two and I'm running a business and I have to be honest with myself about that. I feel like maybe if I didn't have my kids or I didn't have, I wasn't married to the big kid, because they are your first child, aren't they? I'd probably be somewhere totally different, but I wouldn't have had these businesses. So I guess it's just, knowing that, right, this is it, this is what it is, and I've got to kind of keep going, and this is the routine. If I divert from that, it's okay, but, this is really what should be happening and how to grow my business.
And do you have any go-tos? I always say it's amazing to have a happy list, like 100 random things that make you happy, from like a latte to the smell of cooked grass, whatever that might be. They're my things. Pumpkin spice latte. What have you got some go-to things when you are approaching that burnout or that ultimate stress? Have you got any good go-tos or do you have bad go-tos?
Wow, food. I love food. You know what? There's this TikTok, and it's like the sound is, I'll always have just enough money to go out to eat. That's me. Tell me anytime, any place, I'm there. So I love good food. Yeah. And I've actually also just come back from Dubai from a girls' trip. Oh. So that was really nice. I don't do it often, but it was nice to just get away and just, be in Dubai with my friends. But yeah, I think doing things that I know make me happy, spending time with my family, spending time with my friends, coffee, there's a few things that actually iced coffee, because I used to love a nice hot cup of tea until I became a mum. And you never really get those. So I've had to find a new favorite cold drink that I really like. And, it's the little things.
It really is the little things. Yeah. My sister, who's got 3 kids, says you'll never experience the fact that I never get to the end of a hot cup of coffee. It's always cold at the end. So,
always.
Yeah. Okay. So final question. What is that big piece of advice, if you knew it then, you would give your younger self when you were starting on your entrepreneur's journey?
Embrace failures. I think it's important to embrace failures. I'm, typical type A high achiever, did really well in school, in uni, did really well in my career, and I've got to this business and I've had this really, life-changing experience with my family, and I was like, oh no, I'm not where I thought I'd be. This feels like a bit of a failure, but actually that period was me actually building and growing and embracing the fact that, look, I'm not where I want to be, but I'm alive, I'm healthy, my family's okay. That's been a really, a really good lesson for me. I'm always like, go, go, go. It has to happen now. If it doesn't happen now, then I'm failing. But take it slow, take it easy, and embrace the fact that not everything's going to go right, but I'm going to learn from it. That's been important. Seeking mentorship in the form of, different mentors, those accelerator programs, that's been so helpful. And also to take care of myself. That, I think, is not spoken about enough as founders. Again, another TikTok sound. You can tell I'm obsessed. But the TikTok sound that goes, I quit my job, my 9-to-5 job, to work 24 hours a day. That's literally what it feels like running a business. And there's no time for self-care. There's no time for the spas. That none of that bit's glamorized. It's just hustle. Girl boss, do this, do that. You got to look like you're constantly busy and constantly doing things. And actually, I don't want to subscribe to that model. I think it's important to take care of myself, take regular breaks, take days off, and take a lunch break. The little things, but actually you have to take care of yourself as a founder, because if there's no you, there's no business. So yeah.
Well, You've got such a sparkle. You've been so inspiring today. I'm just going to throw my own question in at the end. So I always ask people that, because I feel like I'm in the podcast studio.
Is that an invitation?
Absolutely. I think you'd be great for Anything is Possible. Definitely. Well, I'm going to ask you, see how good your answer is. So, what does Anything is Possible mean to you?
Oh, that's a good question. What does anything is possible means to me? It means you can do everything, but not all at the same time.
Yeah.
Oh, I got
I actually totally agree. I think you're right. I did a panel once called Having It All But Not at the Same Time. And I think, one thing I would say is, we have got, let's be really positive and say we're going to be on this earth 100 years. That's 10 decades. We can have different lives each year, every decade. And how exciting is that? Everybody's got the opportunity to keep changing and reinventing. And look at you already, 3 businesses and a way to go. So thank you so much. That was so interesting. Big one.